Becoming a fully fledged and fully realized Jedi Knight was not an easy task for any individual. Jedi younglings were typically taken from their parents to undergo small Jedi training. However, the bulk of Jedi training was not done as a Jedi youngling. The majority of training to become a true Jedi Knight was done in the field with an active Jedi Master, somebody to show them the ropes. Sometimes, unfortunately, not every youngling that was taken to the Jedi Temple would eventually be selected by a Jedi Master for training. Some of them were deemed either too dangerous or not force sensitive enough to complete the full Jedi Knighthood experience, and would be given a different role. Today, we will be talking about that role. However, this is not the only way a potential Jedi can actually fail to become a Jedi Knight. In some cases, as a Jedi Padawan, these Padawans fail to complete what is known as the Jedi Trials, necessary trials in order to prove themselves worthy of being deemed a full Knight of the Order. Before we explain exactly what happened to these individuals that fail the trials, we first must explain what the trials are. The Jedi Trials were challenges that Jedi Padawans were given as a prerequisite for achieving knighthood, and were sometimes retaken by knights to earn the rank of Jedi Master. The trials were administered by the High Council to any Padawan they deemed worthy to become a Jedi. The primary trials were a set of 5, and were the Trial of Skill, the Trial of Courage, the Trial of Flesh, the Trial of Spirit, and the Trial of Insight. In addition, the Jedi High Council could assign substitute tests or use an exceptionally trying mission in place of the traditional Jedi trials and tests. Like the Initiate Trials, these tests were required to be taken in order to proceed to the next rank in the Jedi Order. The Jedi Trials have been an integral tradition in the Jedi Order since its conception on Tython, before the formation of the Jedi High Council and the mainstreaming of the Jedi Academy's teaching. The trials were highly informal, administered by a Padawan's master, and known to be quite harsh, and sometimes even impossible. As time passed, the trials became slightly more lax, and saw a dramatic drop in standards during the New Sith Wars, allowing more individuals to become Jedi. To rectify this, the High Council formalized 5 tests, following the Ruusan Reformation, that would be given within the Jedi Trials Chamber in the Coruscant Jedi Temple. Deep in the temple, the specialized chamber was equipped with a state-of-the-art hologram projector, capable of producing tangible simulations of ancient Jedi as well as Sith. In addition to the combat aspect of the trials, the room was designed to test other skills, many of which were created to replicate the uncertainty of a Jedi and the uncertainty they would face in the field. Overseen by the Jedi High Council and the current Battle Master of the Order, the trials were over once all were tested and completed. If the Padawan was successful in completing the series of challenges, the Master would then prepare their apprentice for the knighting ceremony. As the scheduled ceremony approached, the Padawan would spend an entire day in deep meditation within the preparation High Council room in the Tranquility Spire. As the time came to ascend to the Hall of Knighthood, the Padawan would enter the darkened chamber and kneel before the Grand Master of the Order, and finally have their Padawan braids separated. If an apprentice should be unsuccessful in completing their Jedi trials, they were permitted to take them again until they passed. However, still, some Jedi Padawans would never be able to pass them because of their affinity with the Force, or otherwise. It was not uncommon for a Jedi either not to be selected by a Jedi Master or to fail their Jedi trial. In fact, one of the most famous Jedi in all of Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi, was not initially selected for training. If either of these things were to happen, a Jedi Initiate had 2 options. They would be given a sum of money and would finally be allowed to leave the Jedi Order. They could either return to their family or pave out a new life for themselves. This option, however, was dissuaded from the Jedi Order, as they did not want potential Force wielders and potential initiates to become disillusioned with the role of the Jedi, and to grow spiteful and hateful of the larger order, as some Jedi did when they were turned away. The other, far more popular option was a role that many Jedi considered just as important as the role of a Jedi Knight. That being somebody that worked in the Jedi Service Corps. The Jedi Service Corps was an organization formed by the Council of Reassignment during the Old Republic era as an alternative to serving in the more traditional capacity of a Jedi Knight. Because it was run by the Jedi Order, the members of the Service Corps were all considered Jedi themselves, though many of its members had failed to pass the Initiate Trials, and therefore could not proceed in the Jedi Training Academy. To go more in depth though, we must now explain what it means to have a Jedi Initiate Trial, which is actually different from the Jedi Knighting Ceremony and the Jedi Trials. The Jedi Initiate Trials were the test by which Jedi Initiates were given as a prerequisite in order to progress to the level of Padawan within the Jedi Order. Like the Trials of Knighthood, these tests were required to be taken by all students in order to proceed to the next rank in the Jedi Order. During the days of the Old Order, the Initiate Trials were tests used to gauge an apprentice's progress in the Order. Oftentimes, because a master might have 2 or more students under their tutelage at the time, the test would be given simultaneously. Because of the less restrictive age discrimination rules of the era, the test was often taken by students well into their teens, or even 20s. As the Order evolved though, and the war ceased to plague the galaxy, some of the tests changed to suit the non-militaristic and more formalized academy on Coruscant. The first test was designed to test one's knowledge of the Jedi Code. A vital part of Jedi teachings, the code was reviewed over and over throughout the initiate's life, typically every single day during meditation or class. If an initiate did not memorize the mantra, then they would no longer be a member of the Order, as this was the keystone of what a Jedi believed. The second test, though, was not consistent throughout the Jedi Order's history. Originally, the test consisted of lightsaber construction using crystals provided by a master. As the Order came into a new era following the Ruusan reformation, the trial was altered to test self-discipline, demonstrating competency through meditation or staged lightsaber combat with a hood on. This test was not so much a demonstration in skill, so much as technique. For their third and their final trial, a great difference existed between the Jedi who fought in the new Sith Wars and those raised during the Golden Age of the Republic. Because of the lack of age restrictions seen early on in the Order's history, sometimes initiates would be assigned to perform a specific yet simple task, such as solving a judicial case or providing aid to a citizen in need. The Council of Dantooine required initiates of the Order to complete a task to see the dark side for themselves and find a way to conquer it. A famous example of this is the trial of Revan to locate and redeem the fallen Cathar apprentice Juhani. During the glory days of the Republic, initiates were asked to prove that their connection of the Force was strong and that they were capable of meeting the standards of becoming a fully fledged Jedi. Following the successful completion of each of these trials, an initiate would follow one of 3 paths. Most initiates went on to be chosen as a Jedi Padawan by a knight or a master. To gain the attention of a potential master, students participated in the annual apprentice tournament at the Jedi Temple, so that they could exhibit combat skill and force talents in front of potential masters. On the other hand, some students were never chosen and were then sent to the Jedi Service Corps by the order of the Council of Reassignment, as we discussed earlier. While still members of the Jedi Order, these students did not continue in training in the Force, instead using their limited abilities to aid the galaxy from a grassroots level. The third option left open to the initiate is to leave the Jedi Order. Some may not be content with a life in the Service Corps, or the High Council may not see them walking the path of a Jedi fully. Should this be the case, the Order recommends a student walk away in peace and use what they learned to better society. The Service Corps was considered an honorable alternative to serving in the Army of Light or the mainstream Order following the Ruusan reformation and the defeat of the Dark Lords of the Sith. The Corps was made up of 4 branches: the Agricultural Corps, the Medical Corps, the Educational Corps, and the Exploration Corps. Membership in each was voluntary, and many ranking members and fully formed Jedi of the Order eventually joined. But if an initiate had failed the trials, of course, the Council took care of assigning them based on different skills and requirements. However, they were no longer allowed to pursue the mysteries of the Force. Serving the Galactic Republic in a different way than a knight would, the Service Corps members were no less important to the Order and helped countless star systems throughout its history. Following centuries of involvement in galactic affairs, the Corps was disabled in 19 BBY when the Republic's Supreme Chancellor, Darth Sidious, turned on the Order and slaughtered all of the Jedi in the galaxy, rounding up many members of the Jedi Service Corps to be executed themselves. Some, though, were taken to the planet of Biss to undergo what Darth Sidious called conversion training and to turn them all to the dark side of the Force, many of which would become candidates for the Inquisitorius. If they did not turn, though, or were deemed too weak, they were executed. When Jedi Master Luke Skywalker took over the Order, he decided not to reinstate the Jedi Service Corps, instead taking its many teachings and implementing it into the life and duties of a normal Jedi. Anyway, my friends, that is what happened to a Jedi youngling or a Jedi Padawan that failed either their initiate trials or the fully formed Jedi trials. But what are your thoughts on this and how the Jedi Order as a whole served their failures of the Order? Do you agree with the philosophy of it and think that it works or not? I'm really interested to hear your opinions on this. As always, my friends, I really appreciate you watching these longer form videos. May the Force be with you and have a great day.